Welcome to the world of Carry On. In this series, we're going to take a look behind the scenes at how some of the greatest Carry On films were ever made. This time we look at the third entry in the series, Carry On Teacher. But who was to provide the laughs? Ted Ray as Mr. Wakefield, Kenneth Connor as Mr. Adams, Charles Hawtrey as Mr. Bean, Leslie Phillips as Mr. Grigg, Kenneth Williams as Mr. Milton, Hattie Jakes as Miss Short, Joan Sims as Miss Alcock, Rosalind Knight as Miss Wheeler, and Cyril Chamberlain as Mr. Hodgson. Now, even though this is the third Carry On film and we had only had 2 films prior to this, the film does have a very strong script. Written by Norman Hudis, he tells the story of what life was like in school in the late 50s. The film features Ted Ray in his only Carry On appearance, other than that of the Peter Rogers sub-Carry On Please Turn Over. Filming for this Carry On was quite short in comparison to many of the others. It only took 5 weeks to actually make the film, with all exterior shots being shot at Drayton Secondary School in Ealing, whilst the interiors were all left to Pinewood Studios as per usual. Charles Hawtrey would often bring his mother to Pinewood Studios during filming, and on one occasion during this film she had lit a cigarette and dropped the ash unexpectedly into her handbag. Before she knew it, Joan Sims screeched, "Your bag's on fire!" Charles Hawtrey grabbed a nearby tea, pouring it into the bag, closing it shut, and then basically carried on as if nothing had even happened. Many of the other Carry On regulars were present in this from the previous film: Kenneth Connor, Kenneth Williams, Hattie Jakes, Leslie Phillips and Joan Sims in her second Carry On appearance. A rather young Richard O'Sullivan, who would go on to appear in the likes of Man About the House and Robin's Nest, was playing one of the saboteurs, along with Larry Dan, who made his first appearance of 4 Carry On films. So without further ado, let's look into the film and see what it was all about. We join the film as a current term is in progress at Magdalen Street Secondary School, where William Wakefield, played by Ted Ray, has been teaching there for 20 odd years, and is currently acting as headmaster. Whilst going through the Teacher's Chronicle, he notices a job application for a headmaster at a new school. He thinks it'll be perfect for him and decides to apply. But whilst in a conference with other teachers after school, unruly pupil Robin Stevens is listening closely at the door. He gets wind of the headmaster's departure and decides they must try and do everything they can to stop him from leaving. But there's more problems ahead, as Mr. Grigg and Miss Wheeler are escorted into the school for an inspection of the pupils and how they get taught. Mr. Grigg is a child psychologist who immediately takes shine to Miss Alcock, played by Joan Sims. During his brief stay at the school, things develop between the two of them. But there's more developments in the science lab, when Miss Wheeler takes a shine to Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, being of course very shy and not used to this, decides to shy away from any attempt that she has on him. Meanwhile, the pupils are doing absolutely everything they can to sabotage everything, such as putting alcohol in the teacher's tea, pretending that there's a bomb in the school. But it's when they get to the final day of the term when things take a dramatic turn for the worst, when they decide to sabotage the school's play of Romeo and Juliet. Whilst all the ringleaders are brought to justice in Mr. Wakefield's office, it is at a very pivotal point, just before they're about to get the cane, that one of the children explains exactly why they did this. Mr. Wakefield is obviously deeply moved by what has happened and decides to maybe give him a bit of a break. He then decides with a heavy heart to stay at the school. So there we go, that's Carry On Teacher summed up. The film was released at the Plaza Cinema in London on the 3rd of September 1959. It was received well by the audience. They kind of liked it and could relate to it in many ways. But for the media, they did have quite a dim view of this third entry into the series, such as Variety claiming that it was a collection of uninhibited gag situations and dialogue, even though there was a stronger script and the characters seemed more credible. The Monthly Film Bulletin said another slapstick farce for the Carry On series, predictable and occasionally pressed too hard. Whilst on the other side of the Atlantic, the Los Angeles Times wrote, Carry On Teacher gets a high mark for low comedy. In the slapstick fashion of previous japes about doctors, nurses and sergeants, it's silly nonsense, but it's fun. Nowadays fans put this film averagely in the middle of any list, as it's not a bad carry-on, but it's not also the high point of a carry-on. But it's one of these carry-ons that you can put on a Sunday afternoon that you can relax to and not think too much about it. It's a very easy script and very easy to relate to exactly what goes on in school. So there we go, Carry On Teacher. Until next time, carry on laughing.